Today in the shop, we got a lot of little projects taken care of that were just on the back burner for a while. One was I wanted to do the second side of the wheel. That consumed a good part of the day, but I also had a hardware upgrade that Luciano suggested, and I took him to heart since he's given me good suggestions in the past. He said, get some castellated lock nuts instead of those little steel tabs. Well, what I did some research and found out there's a place right in Rutherford that had the castellated nuts that I wanted. And so I put the address on there and had to get there. It's right in the middle of Rutherford. But then I got back home and I spent the better part of the afternoon doing the rest of the second side of the wheel. And by the end of the day, I was just one tired old man. And we're ready though. Tomorrow, if tomorrow isn't raining or snowing or we don't have a tornado, tomorrow we'll be ready to pull a tire off and get the prime on. And it's another challenging day. We'll have to make a little plan of action. Karen's got some stuff she wants to do. I had some email from Luciano last night and he had a great idea for me to try. If I can get some lock nuts for the rear sprocket assembly. He's been using castellated lock nuts for a long time. I think there's a hardware store right in town I might be able to get. I don't know. But that's one of the thoughts, one of the things I'd like to do today. But there's a bigger thing. The weather's really nice today. Turbo Steve and his friends are going out for a ride. They invited me, but you know what? Karen's got things to do here, and I really want to finish that second part of the wheel. So I'm not sure how this day is going to play out yet. Karen still hasn't given me the plan for the day. But I do like the idea of not using those little steel tabs. I'd like to see if I can get those locking nuts today, and if I can't, then I'll have to order them from one of the bolt places. But this place right in town is a little old-fashioned hardware store. The guy has a bolt collection in there, 1,000,000 bolt. Maybe he'll have them. I don't know, but always fun to go shopping there anyway. And that'll be one of the things we do while we're out doing the errands for Karen. And maybe it is a little premature to say spring is in the air. I guess for Steve it is in the air and the guys that are going to lunch, but I'm going to try to get some work done here today. So this is one of the bolts that holds the rear sprocket on. Vlad has already got the sprocket ordered and it's on its way here. I don't know when it'll get here. Time of year, things are a little slow. But I wanted to find out, I'm going to go up to that hardware store, if he has castellated nuts, the nuts with the little nylon insert. That's what Luciano's using, and I always take his advice. He's done a lot of work with motorcycles, and I always like to have some nice little upgrade that I can do for very little money. That'll be a lot nicer in my look and easier to keep the bike clean. It's always very difficult to clean around those the things that hold the nuts in place. So that will be a nice upgrade if we can find them today. And this is why I always save every nut and bolt and every washer, everything I've ever worked on, because you never know when you're going to need it. Now, and I look through my supply, I don't have it. We're going to have to hit the hardware store this afternoon. Now, both Karen and I are still waiting for our COVID shot because in the state of New Jersey, in case you're from out of state, the smokers and prisoners go first. Hey, you wouldn't want some child molester not to get his COVID shot, would you? No. So it has the look, it's warming up. Maybe some of this will melt up in the next day or so. Hey, Steve, I hope you guys have a great lunch today. And I'll be busy as can be doing my thing here. And you've seen Karen's coffee cabinet yesterday. We have about 50 pounds of coffee, and we're going to drink it all. I wish I could train my birds to drink coffee instead of eating seeds. These seeds get expensive. And after a really delicious cup of coffee, it's time. We got to check our project bench. And I know I had anticipated maybe putting Loctite on those nuts, but Luciano might have a good idea there, and if they're available, I know they'll be available from one of the bolt suppliers. But I've noticed that they are very thin nuts, so I hope that we'll catch enough of the thread. For a castellated nut, you got to get the nylon cord on the end, but we'll have to figure it out. And it's not going to be a big deal either way. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done. But we'll want to work on that wheel until it's time to go on our errands. And I always like to get a nice early start. Look at that light flashing on that wheel. And of course, we're still waiting for the decals to come from Australia. We could finish up finish that up. The decals are the only part we're missing. But anyway, we have no control over that. The hub is ready to go. All the hardware is polished. And I had Ray, I spoke to Ray last night, and he had the exact bike I have years ago. He had that muffler on it, and he said it has a beautiful sound. He's excited about springtime coming up. Maybe coming up to visit us in the springtime. We'll see. He's got his 400 Kawasaki total track day bike ready to go. So, just to we're continuing this from yesterday. We have the two very inexpensive Dremel tool replicas. They're not real Dremel tools. And I have a cable Dremel tool too. But what I found out is several of the wire brushes, these worked out extremely well. I have a whole bucket of them here. I put this all on yesterday's video. No sense going back over it. The wire brushes, I try to get the table set up here if I can. Get some clean paper towels out. These seem to be the most effective. And when I did yesterday's video and edited it down, what I tried to do was put a lot of it in fast forward. So obviously nobody nobody puts a gun to their head in the middle of it listening to that grinder. But we have one side done, one side's ready. So this now is, and this was the hard side that has the lettering. The other side should go relatively quickly. So just the first thing is, what our objective here is to get all of the places on this that are casting. They have a sand cast look. This is a machined look. This has a clear coating of some kind of epoxy on it or paint, I don't know. But this doesn't. So, or maybe it's clear anodizing, I don't even know it. But here's the whole thing in a nutshell. I want that to be perfectly smooth. Most of it I can do with machine, but then the last maybe 1/3 of it I have to do by hand, which is what I did yesterday. I split the job up into segments, do one segment at a time, try to do some of it on fast forward. Getting in here, a little more time consuming, have to do a lot of it by hand. And this side, the hub is a lot easier to do. The other side was more complicated. So this should take a little bit less time than yesterday, but we never know, that's for sure. And of course, this is our objective, is to have that smooth, and if you could just touch this, you'd see what I mean. Just the feel of it is just so nice. And obviously when that goes out in the sun, that'll look, I think it'll look spectacular. Here's to try to do, I'll try to see how long this is going to take to do one segment. What saves us time though is there's no lettering to deal with today. You know what I always found works good? If you plug these in. So after doing a little bit in real time, I wanted to do probably the great majority of it in fast forward, because number one, this is tedious, boring work, believe me. And what I found works well for me is do what I just showed, do this one area at a time, not try to do the whole wheel in one shot. What I'll do is go after this with the wire brush, that's why I have them both plugged in and ready, get one segment totally done, and then move on to the next segment. And that's the method that's worked pretty well for me. It worked well on the other side of the wheel, in fact. Okay, so what we're going to use now is the wire brush. The one thing I wish is that I could work in fast forward, but I'm lucky I can work in real-time speed. But this does take a lot of time. Now between these two tools I can get 90% of it. And again, if you just do one segment, and then I'll move on to this one. I emphasize that because I know when people get frustrated, they start trying to do too much at one time. And if I concentrate on this, and Karen's going to be ready to go pretty soon, but it's probably 15-20 minutes a segment. And when you're done, that has to be scratched and ready for primer. And I maybe even get that done tomorrow. I don't know. We never know how a day is going to play out here. But I would like to get those lock nuts today. So Karen has decided it's time to head out to get what she wants to do, and I will try to get those lock nuts. I've got one segment done here, and you could really see the difference. But once that's etched smooth, if you don't do that, and I've tried this already too, and it doesn't work. I've tried filling that with 5 coats of primer. The paint gets too thick and glocky. I didn't really like the way that, it kind of, you lost all the definition of the edges and corners. I think this is just a better, pay the price, as with most things in painting, pay the price up front. All right, we're going to get out of here. Well, it's time to go, and it looks like a sunny day here on the Ponderosa. As I'm backing out of the house, look at this. This is priceless. That's our rabbit. Just his head is sticking out of the snow. And my healthcare worker sign is covered with snow. But I still appreciate what you guys do. So this is kind of a cool place. It's right in Rutherford. It's a real old school hardware store where they have things nobody knows. Maybe they'll have these nuts I need. We'll find out. So this is pretty cool. It looks like they have the lock nuts that Luciano recommended. Look at how much they have. Oh, Jesus. Is this an old school hardware store? So if you need something, I'm guessing, if you need some metric hardware in a pinch, this is right in the middle of Rutherford. It's called Two Brothers Hardware, right by the railroad station. Now we got exactly what we want, and this place has every nut and bolt and spring and washer and clip and circlip. And look at where it is, and I know Turbo Steve will know. There's the railroad station right there. It's on Orient Way. We'll give them a plug. I'm sure their business is going to double. This is a real old school hardware store. This is the real deal. One more errand and we'll be right back grinding away at that wheel. Hey, it really did turn out to be a nice day. Steve, I hope you're having a great luncheon. So what always happens when we get back from one of these nice little trips, and we'll be ready to work in a matter of minutes. Very comforting knowing we have 40 pounds of coffee in our Karen's coffee cabinet downstairs. Now, so we'll see if Luciano is correct about this, and we don't know. We got enough that we can put them on, and, well, see, my concern is, I don't know how much of that thread, you need to get some of that thread caught up in the nylon, and I wanted to show this. These nuts are, well, we're going to try to use them, of course. They're wider, though. But we have 2 choices now, and I can always, if all else fails, I'll red Loctite it, because these are really solid. It's not a problem, but I do like having, I don't like those little tabs, and I always like to keep my hardware in order so I know what I got. I got all the bolts polished and ready. So that's one step that's in our favor when it comes time to doing the assembly. And right now it's back to the grindstone. What else could be more fun? Now we just finished one segment, so we're going to flip it, do another one, flip it, do another one, flip it, do another one. Put some of this in fast forward, but basically this is just a couple hours of work. It's amazing how those little inexpensive cutters that I got from Amazon, and they really aren't real high quality, but they're just fine. As long as you use a relatively low speed or medium speed on the little fake Dremel tool, they seem to last fine. Now here's a useful tip I'm finding out the hard way. These, of course, are the inexpensive ones I bought from Amazon, and I think I got 1,000 of them. They were over 100 of them. I don't even know how many. More than 100, I think, for $10, if I remember right. And rough and smooth. But here's the problem. These are not as high quality as the ones you buy from Dremel Tool that are way more, several times more expensive. But they're so inexpensive, and they do last quite a while. But here's one of the things to make them last longer, and I've been replacing them. I've been running the cheesy Dremel tools on medium speed, not high, and they seem to last several times longer. So that's a good tip. And if you're not, I'm not in a rush. I'm not getting paid by the hour, that's for sure. But what's happening is one by one, we're getting these segments done. And it's only a matter of time. Well, I think we got 2 more to do. And I'll be very happy, because then we'll be ready to start wire brushing the whole rim. And the best trick is just don't run these inexpensive little grinding tools, the little sanding disc, You run them at medium speed, they seem fine. You run them at high speed, they seem to deteriorate quickly. But some of these areas in here, it's easier to get. Every time I rotate the wheel, now I can get these areas here. And then once I have everything scuffed in, then I'll do the wire brushing. I'll just really get a nice radius on everything. But it's, again, this really just takes a lot of time. Now, a good tip you can use if you're using a wire brush, if you turn the drill clockwise for part of the time, you'll find all of the things start glowing like combing your hair, and they go in the wrong direction, and then the thing gets less useful. Well, you just reverse the drill, and don't forget that it's on reverse, and for all purposes, you can get extra use out of the. It puts a new edge on it. So, but then I have to remember that the drill is turning backwards. And the first time you forget the drill is turning backwards, you wind up catching your shirt or the towel or something. So, of course, this just takes, again, I try to do one segment, and then what I'll do, the final thing will be in here. But we're making good progress, but again, you can't do this in a half an hour, that's for sure. Now, doing these internal sections, I try to do this all as one part now that the outer rim is done. And I started on the first one, and I realized right away I've got to get it down in the corners here. When I do the hand sanding, it's going to be the tool, even a small diameter one, doesn't get down in the corner. So I'll do that, some of that by hand, but basically now we've got the outer, and we've got 4 more of the inners to do. And then the most fun of all, the hand sanding. Now, as I'm going through these guys, it's this one, the smallest of the diameters, is really good for getting down in these nooks and crannies and valleys. I found that to be just extremely useful. That's the most useful of all of them. Now, that little sanding drum is really super useful because you can get down into the valleys. And all these little areas, a lot of these little tight areas, normally you have to do them by hand. I found that little baby drum to be probably the most useful of all of them. And it did a great job. And they're cheap as can be from Amazon. Now, I've been using this as the orange wheel, and what that's good for is just deburring and getting the edges off. And it's a pretty aggressive tool, so what I try to do is just constantly move it around when I'm using it, but it does a nice job of getting rid of any sharp edges that you still have. Before I do the hand sanding, I don't want to have a razor edge anywhere. I want every edge to be as radiused as possible, because once I start sanding that by hand, that's a pretty labor-intensive part of the job. This makes it easier for me. And that orange drill attachment, that's a Harbor Freight issue too. They make them in several black and orange and blue I've seen. And I found the orange one to be the best for working on this wheel. Now with the sanding stick and some 180, the last thing is to just detail everything out by hand. This gets very time consuming because I want to get in all of the nooks and crannies, all the valleys. It takes time. And this will be the thing that separates a really super job where it looks like the paint is just flowing on there from a job that, well, it'll look good from, the Brooklyn Bridge or something, or from outer space or whatever. Or from Karen's coffee closet. Anyway, this takes time, and once this is done, I will be really tired, and I'll be really happy. And I think tomorrow we'll be able to pull this all apart and prime it, and hopefully continue this relatively warm weather that's melting up all that snow and allowing Turbo Steve and the boys to have a nice ride today. Well, maybe I'll get a ride before the weekend's over here. Who knows? You never know. Anyway, this now I'll do one segment, and just repeat the whole process over and over again until I'm happy that both sides of this wheel are as good as I can make it. Coming down a home stretch, all that's left is some Norton 180. Do a final hand sanding on that, and we're really in good shape for this wheel. At the end of the day, it's always a joy to do the hand sanding because you know the day's coming to an end here. Half hour from now, I'll be done, and I'll be looking at this wheel and oogling it and checking it out, and I'll be glad this day played out the way it is, because this really is the hardest part of the job. It's all downhill from here. This was a long day and well worth it. We have got the foundation laid now. This is like having the foundation dug, and we're ready to start building a house tomorrow. I hope tomorrow the weather's going to hold up. What a day this was. Holy mackerel. I'm sure tonight I'll get pictures of Turbo Steve flying around MotoGPing it up with the friends. Anyway, here's the big thing is I want to thank the healthcare workers always. I never want to forget to thank those guys. You guys are all great. And that sign out on my front porch is buried in snow. Anyway, that's all beside the point. I hope you have enjoyed the video. We have to run over to the kid's house tonight and see how the puppy's doing. And he's getting bigger by the minute. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy the video. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Is he biting you? Razor teeth, razor teeth.
Little biting.
Oh, razor teeth, razor teeth.
Easy, easy, Miles, easy.
Take a picture.
Okay, easy though.
It looks like he's getting the best of you, Miles. I think you got to feed him more.
Oh, God.
He's not getting big fast enough.
Oh, it's Jess. Hey.
Yeah. He's rough on equipment.
All right, you.
Relentless. He's relentless.
Like,
Here goes the shawl.
I try to have it quiet down there, you know? Like,
Bye-bye, shawl.
Not the blanket. The blanket.
Oh, the
Sometimes
blanket.
I'll come down and we'll watch TV or something.
Buddy.
I try, like, for him
Buddy, where are
you
you?
know.
Well, we've been trying to get over and see the puppy pretty much every night. He's doubling in size, and he's so much fun. I wanted to end the video with a couple of good memories from, these are my older pictures and older little video clips that I have. And this reminded me, this was a day it was snowing. I have a good memory this day. I was doing up the green set of spare wheels for the 750 Ninja. And I remember when I was doing these wheels, it was cold and the wind was blowing and I was freezing. And now when I look back at it and I see some of the snow on the ground, I think, oh, boy, I got a good memory. Well, not really that good of a memory. But anyway, I do remember we're painting this, and this is Camaro green. It's a General Motors color that we painted the Ninja with and painted the wheels. And I have a helmet that matches too. One of Frank Straub's old helmets. And it's a classic helmet. It's a Bell Star too. It's not a helmet that you could take lightly. It's a serious man's helmet. Collector item. Not to be worn on the street. And hey, how good is my memory? There's the snow. Look at this. You can't make this stuff up. But I do remember thinking those wheels and the clear coat, we were using a 5-star clear at the time. And I was so excited to see how the 5-star was going to work out. Between getting the wheels painted this day and getting some of the clear on, this was a very, very memorable day. And this is actually an outtake from an old video of putting on the 2-part clear. And it's funny how there's certain things you remember, certain things you were disappointed about. I remember finishing these wheels and being really excited that they came out nice and the paint matched the bike and everything. This was a happy day. Now there's some days I can remember, and I have a good memory of this. At the end of the day, something didn't exactly work the way I wanted, and I don't go back and look at those videos and pictures that often. Today was a really wonderful day in the shop. We have all the grinding done on the wheel. I have some good memories of how these wheels came out, and it just couldn't be a better day. We got to see the puppy. As I'm editing this down, that puppy is doubling in size. Now, here's the bike with the black set of wheels with the green stripe. And then I remember going with Tim. Tim actually went to this stunt show. We went to the stunt show at Motorcycle Mall, and I can picture Luciano doing this, or Jose. Not happening. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy the video. And guys, one and all, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I really do enjoy editing the videos. I hope you enjoy watching them. Again, thanks a lot for watching.